We're here today with some of the team from Legrand, Australia, who recently completed a project to automate all of their customer purchase orders. We're joined by the Planning and Logistics Engineer Alexi Bogan, the Customer Service Manager Eileen O'Hagan, and the IT Manager Jason Billing. We also have the CEO of Portalink, Tim Pope. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's start by reflecting on life before Portalink. What were some of the typical challenges your customer service team would experience on a daily basis?
I think the biggest challenge for us was that everything was very manual. So the orders would come in and we would have to manually key them into our system. We took a lot of time to find the right quote to match the pricing on the customer's order. And yeah, all of this took time manually going from system to system. We couldn't find product codes easily. If the customer had not put on the exact code, we would manually have to find that. So look, it was time consuming, I think, was the biggest factor in our challenges.
Portalink's a system that's been designed to deal with a lot of these issues. It's now been 10 weeks since we launched the system. How's life changed for your customer service team?
Look, I think the biggest changes that we've noticed is that we do not have to key every single line on every single order. The team are loving that. We're not matching every single quote. We're not having to find every single quote. Portalink is helping us do that. With the product codes, we're not searching for every single one if the customer has got it wrong, and this is really saving us a lot of time.
I'll just add on the quotes, not only do they not have to find the quote manually, but the individual item within the quote, that's coming up automatically for them as well.
Absolutely.
So that's saving time.
Great. So Portalink's best known for automating the long tail of non-EDI orders that are either emailed or faxed. You decided to process all of your orders through the system, including the EDI transactions. Can you explain why that was?
So today we've got approximately 500 orders we receive through Portalink. 68% of them are EDI and the rest is non-EDI, so we receive usually as a PDF. So when it was an EDI order, it's easy to read the part numbers and everything, but when you receive the PDF, this is where Portalink is really helping us, because it's managed to read straight away from the PDF what is the part number, and this is what we don't have to type again, and the customer can automatically see the discrepancies we've got.
Also on the EDI orders, there's a high number of them, or a high percentage have a quotation pricing attached to them. So historically they'd be rejected by the ERP system as having an invalid price. Using Portalink, it's matching the quotation with the order, validates the pricing, so all matching is done pre-going to the ERP and no manual intervention is required, so the orders flow through much easier.
And the EDI orders can push straight through if there's no issue with them. So Portalink's checking every EDI order, looking for any of those pricing discrepancies that are most likely going to be quote related. And if it doesn't find any discrepancies, it just pushes it straight through like any other normal EDI order.
Correct. And also if there's an obsolete item ordered, the customer service person gets to see that, the opportunity to update it with the correct item or contact the customer to substitute the correct item and then process the order as one lot, a lot quicker than the old system would allow.
But if there is no discrepancy and it's an EDI order, nobody will see it. It will arrive in Portalink and it will go straight to our ERP.
Brilliant.
I imagine you had to consider decades worth of legacy systems and processes. So how does Portalink complement these existing processes?
The ERP system is rather old but very rigid. We weren't able to interface that in any logical way with the quotation system, and again that's fairly rigid and limited in what it can do. Through the use of APIs available within the ERP and data extraction sending to Portalink, Portalink's been able to match up each incoming order to a quote where applicable, and that simplified our life a lot. That's something that could not be done in either system by itself. It had to be done externally. So yeah, without PortalLink, we would have been still floundering in a manual fashion.
So it was a big decision to introduce new technology on this scale for one of the most critical areas of your business. How important was it for PortalLink to be able to adapt the system to suit your environment as opposed to an off-the-shelf system?
It was really important for us because in the old process we had identified many steps with non-value added, and we really wanted to tackle every single one of them. And when we talked to PortalLink about our issues, you managed to adapt and develop a solution for every single problem. So now when we are working with PortalLink, we've got only actions with added value, and this is much better for us now.
So what are some of the bigger issues that you had to consider?
We had quite a few, and the French head office were insistent on things like security, meeting the GDPR rules, having recent penetration testing done on the PortalLink system to prove it's secure for us. On top of the GDPR, there's also the Australian data breach notification rules we have to comply with and ensure that PortalLink's up to standard with those. Current workflows. One advantage that we found with the PortalLink system is that an order can be totally completed within PortalLink, and that's then passed through to the ERP for standard processing. The customer service don't have to jump in and touch the standard ERP at all now. Over many, many years, the business has evolved with different rules around the orders. You know, it's a retail-based or a trade-based customer. There's different processing that must happen. PortalLink's integrated many of those rules into the system as well.
So what about integration, Jason? What about, obviously for the PortalLink to be able to do those things, it needs to have intelligence from the data that exists in your other systems, like the ERP system and so on. And then, of course, it needs to get the order data back into your ERP system.
Yep, so all the data is transferred to PortalLink using SFTP. That's in terms of the inventory, the customer, even the EDI orders we transfer through SFTP. PortalLink itself is making an API call through to a web service back to MoveX for every order line. PortalLink helped develop that web service for us. They put us onto some good developers. We find that with the data going back to PortalLink, we need to adjust the timings in terms of it's critical that we get new pricing or quotation data to the PortalLink system as quick as we can. So we brought down to say 2 minutes the file send times. Other data, it's not very important. You're not going to get a new item every 2 minutes, so that may be hourly.
So we're getting API calls where we need real-time data.
Yes.
And a lot of that real-time data is actually coming into the order before it gets to the customer service team.
Correct. Yes.
So that's already being presented to the customer service team when they open the order to process it. And the other data, which is not as time critical, is set for a frequency of export from your systems to PortalLink that suits the business.
That's correct. Yep.
So it's a hands-free.
Hands-free, yes. And as I said before, we've had to adjust some of the timings. Your team has been very good at modifying the import time or the export time, the frequency on your end of the system as well.
There was a lot of reports and SQL queries to create to get these reports, but in the end we managed to do it, and we only have a few modifications now and then to make sure the data we send is always up to date and being used by PortalLink right in time. So when we get a new order, we always apply the business rules based on the data we've got currently in our ERP, even if the modification has been done in this morning. PortalLink knows already.
Terrific. Are you happy with the support you're getting from the PortalLink team?
So yeah, when we got an issue, we got this button called Need Help on the side of the screen, and now the CSRs, they use it a lot. and they get an answer quite quickly.
Quick, good.
So your relationship with Portalink dates back quite a few years now. Portalink's been working with Legrand since 2015 with an integrated e-catalogue. Did that prior relationship make it easier for you to put your trust in Portalink with such a significant project as order automation?
Yes, it definitely did. Working over the previous few years with Portalink on the digital catalogue, we've come to see that they're a trustworthy, good supplier. They've been very responsive and helpful. We've got no hesitation at all with working with Portalink.
One of the major concerns that the customer service team had when we announced that we were going to go to a new order entry system, they were concerned about the support that they would get once they were using the system. And when we could let them know that we'd already worked with Portalink, they were already doing the catalogue, everyone felt more reassured.
And response and help has been
Absolutely.
great since then.
It has, it's been terrific.
So Portalink has established a reputation of successfully automating complex customer service environments. Now, this project had a number of unique challenges. One major challenge was quote matching. Could you elaborate on this?
Yeah, so today when we have a price discrepancy, it can be because the price database from the customer is not up to date, but we can say that most of the time that's because they want to use a quote to overwrite our standard price. So in the old process, we had to go to a separate database, look for the quote, and then have multiple checks. First, the quote is for the good customer, the quote is not expired. Yes, we have the item on this quote, and is it the good price? Then the customer service was able to select this quote to get rid of the price discrepancy. When the customer is not mentioning the quote, it was a harder process because we had to go through the database and just check all the existing quotes for this customer. And for every single quote, check if you have the item and the same price. So we addressed the issue with Portalink, and now they have stored our database inside Portalink, and they are able to select for us all the active quotes for this customer containing this item. And you can see as well if the price is matching. So in one click, you are able to see which quote you can select. You just have to make sure that the description of the quote is matching, let's say, the project. But also, what is really good with Portalink that we didn't have before is the history on the quotes. We have quotes called one-off that we can use only once, and in the older process, we couldn't know if this quote was already used. Now Portalink is able to say how many we have used on this quote, which quantity, but also how many times. And we also have different business rules where we have to say, okay, this quote is for quantity 10, you cannot order for 5. So Portalink is going to log this quote for us. Customer service is not able to select it. When before, you had to visually see that the quantity was not matching. So now in one go, we are able to see and select the good quote.
And there's a way to go around that if you do actually decide to accept the quotes?
So if you want to override the business rules we got in Portalink, you can just unlock the quote and you are able to select it. Or let's say you have updated the quote in our database, but it still hasn't gone through Portalink. You don't want to wait for 5 more minutes, so you can already pre-select this quote. So you are not blocked, let's say.
So this must also be reducing the risk of error, of matching the wrong quote to the wrong order line.
Yes, before you were able to select a quote if the item was not on it, where today it's absolutely impossible. The item must be on the quote.
That's great. So it's a good discipline as well. It's enforcing a discipline.
Yeah, and saving us a lot of time when the customer is not mentioning the quote. Where before we had to call them, which quote did you want to use? When today actually Portalink is telling us there is a high chance they want to use this one because everything is matching. So we can go inside the quote, check, and yes, that's the one. We don't need to contact the customer.
I think another important feature was selecting the warehouse based on available inventory.
Yeah, that's true. So we have multiple distribution centers in Australia. If you have a customer in WA, you will key your order against the distribution center we have in Perth. Our current ERP is able to do this, but it's not checking the inventory. So if you have an item not available in Perth, it can be faster to send this item from Sydney instead of waiting for the stock to arrive in Perth. And this is where Portalink is helping, because we are sending every morning the data of our inventory for the different distribution centers, and Portalink is able to know how much we've got left, and if there is not enough, it will automatically rekey the line against different distribution center, and it can also split the lines between two different distribution centers.
So what we find is that as opposed to EDI, which is controlled by very strict standards, in the non-EDI world, where you're getting orders by email and by fax and so on as PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, there's no control over the data that your customers are sending to you in the orders, or less control. So we've already talked about pricing and quote information being hard to match, and Portalink helping you there. But you mentioned product codes earlier. Eileen, do you want to go deeper into that point?
One of the benefits that we've found with Portalink is in the product code. So when our customer has put an incorrect code on a purchase order, we only need to change that once to the correct code, and for the next time Portalink will remember that, it learns from it, so that discrepancy doesn't come around the next time. And that's been terrific for us and saved us a lot of time.
No, excellent. And is there any other discrepancy detection that Portalink's helping with, or is going to help with in the future?
So we have added two features with Portalink. We've got the sales multiple and the exceptional quantity. So the sales multiple, if an item is supposed to be ordered only by multiples of 10, if the customer is trying to order 4, it will flag for us. So we are able to contact the customer and say, no, please, you need to order at least 10. And the exceptional quantity is when we have identified a quantity for an item to be exceptional, and we don't want the customer to take all our stock available in the warehouse, so it will flag for us, and we have to go deeper and investigate if the customer cannot order such a big quantity, or if we have to tell the customer, no, sorry, you cannot order that much, because it would put all our customer in back order.
So how is Portalink helping to manage your workflows in the customer service department?
We've managed to put the orders now in different folders. So we have orders that have discrepancies and orders that can flow through. We've also got folders for orders that need to go via air, or orders that are a priority as in a pickup. And what Portalink has been able to do for us is, and it picks up if customers put up a pickup order on the actual order, or that it's for air, and it actually grabs that order then and puts that in the priority queue, so that it's not actually waiting in all the orders that may have discrepancies or actually that can flow through. So that's managed to save us time. We're not looking for that order, and even if the customer has actually put the order into the wrong queue, Portalink finds that for us.
It's able to read every single word inside the order, both the document and also the email itself. And if they find the word air, urgent, pickup, collect, for instance, they will highlight these orders as potential pickup or air orders. When before we couldn't see it, and these orders needs to be processed faster than the other ones.
So you're not just relying on people to eyeball and find those words hidden within the context of an order.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if we are 100 orders late, we get a new one where we can see air inside the email. It will go to first position, let's say.
Terrific.
So how difficult is the Portalink system to learn?
Look, it was really easy for the team. At first, of course, like any system, it was very confronting the first couple of days, and it took a little while for everyone to get on board. But in the scheme of things, it was very easy. The first week we did get a little bit behind with our orders. We had to work on the Saturday to get up to speed. But since then, and after that time, really the whole team has got on board, and it's been easy to use.
Few growing pains.
Absolutely, and that was expected. We all knew that was going to happen. It happens with any new system.
So how quickly did the customer service team get up to speed?
Look, I think really quickly. We were already informed. We'd kept everyone up to speed that a new system was coming. Everyone was very excited because we knew that this was going to help us. So after the first week, like I said, after the initial pains of learning a new system, everyone's up to speed. Everyone now, 100%, would not want to go back to our old system and really enjoys using the new system.
Pre-Portalink, it was one single interface in terms of working with the order. That was the MoveX ERP system. But again, there was two separate portal windows within that. One for the EDI orders with a problem, which you have to then bring through to the main order entry system, and then deal with them there. So under the Portalink system, it doesn't matter where the order is from, all the business rules get applied. It's simple for the customer service team to deal with it, and once dealt with them there, it flows through the ERP automatically.
And one of the things I'm looking forward to is, some of those communication rules starting to play out over time as well, where Portalink can be pinging back communications to your buyers almost instantly based on those rules.
At the moment, which is great, they haven't seen any change. That's certainly, no delays.
Yeah.
So that's great. We've had no noise. Even at the very beginning, implementing it when we got behind that first week, really the customers didn't really even notice.
Okay.
Which was great. But for the customers actually to notice something, that will be a big thing. Doing the order confirmations and just any information that we can go back to them with.
So for any other countries, Legrand subsidiaries that might be looking to automate their order processing, now that you've had the experience of going through an implementation and testing and release, what advice would you have?
I think I'd say that they could be really confident that with Portalink they'll work with them to work on any issues they have. We're all not working on the same platform, but what Portalink has shown us is that they really work on all of the things that we need to cover our order entry.
I'd also say make sure you understand your business rules extremely carefully around the order entry process. Along the path, we've discovered a few areas which we didn't know, didn't understand, but Portalink's been able to handle and build all of those rules into the system. That now means that we're able to use one single system, whereas if Portalink couldn't have handled them all, we'd have still been dealing with some orders in the ERP system as well as the Portalink interface. So the way Portalink's built the solution for us is that one single interface is just perfect.
Right. So were there any unexpected outcomes that came out of this project?
The most unexpected was our reporting with our KPIs. We did a list of all the KPIs we had with the old system, and now the KPIs and what reporting we have with the new system. And we realised that what we used to have as a KPI, or what we thought was important to capture, we no longer need to report on that with Portalink. And we've actually got completely different KPIs and different goals that we need to look at for team members.
Using Portalink requires a different mindset now, doesn't it? Because
Absolutely.
the order entry being largely automated, you're only looking at individual discrepant lines rather than dealing with an entire order.
Correct.
So it's hard to put a true KPI against the number of orders processed by a person. It's pretty much irrelevant.
So in the future, the data they are sending us, it will say, is the order discrepant, yes or no? And if it was discrepant, how many lines were discrepant? So you can say, okay, you have worked on this order for 1 minute, you had to sort 4 lines. Doesn't matter if you have 10 lines with no discrepancy, because you didn't have to do anything.
Correct.
So your time on this order is actually for sorting the header and 4 lines of discrepancy.
Yeah.
And they are able to supply the data.
Yeah.
So once we've got all this in place, you will have much more information than before.
Exactly.
It will be including what you had before.
Yeah, exactly, and it's even better because before your whole order was a discrepancy. You had 20 lines, but really out of that you only had 2 lines.
Yeah, and you spent a lot of your time trying to find where those 2 lines were.
Absolutely.
Which lines are discrepant and which aren't.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today. Really do. It's been very generous. And thank you for the efforts that you've all put into this project as well, which has been obviously quite significant.
Thank you and your team.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, no, really good.